Today we're going to be taking a look at physiological splitting of the S2 heart sound as part of the cardiology series. The best place to start this topic is by first reviewing the basic cardiac structure with a simplified diagram. As you may remember, the right side of the heart pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and the left side of the heart pumps oxygenated blood to the rest of the body, and this is known as a double circulation system. Importantly, the heart also has a series of valves which help to control the flow of blood. So we have valves between the atria and the ventricles, which consist of the tricuspid valve on the right and the mitral valve on the left, and these are collectively termed the atrioventricular valves. At the same time, we also have a set of valves which sit between the ventricles and their corresponding arteries, and this consists of the pulmonary valve on the right and the aortic valve on the left. Together, these are called the semi-lunar valves. The other aspect to understand before looking at splitting is how the normal heart sounds are generated, with a quick overview of the cardiac cycle. And we're going to start in ventricular systole when all of the blood is pooled in the ventricles. At the start of this process, the ventricles contract together, which increases the ventricular pressure, forcing the atrioventricular valves close. It's the closure of these valves which results in the first heart sound, or the S1 heart sound, being formed. After this point, the pressure continues to rise and the semi-lunar valves open as well, and then blood is ejected into the pulmonary artery and aorta respectively. After the blood has been ejected, we turn to diastole, which is the relaxation phase of the heart. At the start of this step, you can see that the pressure in the aorta and pulmonary artery is far greater than the pressure in the ventricles, and as a consequence, this forces the semi-lunar valves close. It's the closure of the semi-lunar valves which marks the second heart sound, or the S2 heart sound, to be generated. Following this step, new blood enters the atria and the atrioventricular valves open. The blood then passes into the ventricles via these open valves, both passively and actively. And you can see that we've now returned to the start of the process, so all of the blood is in the ventricles once more, and the entire cycle repeats. Based on this, we can see that the S1 sound is formed by the atrioventricular valves closing together, while the S2 sound is generated by the semi-lunar valves closing together. To summarize this, we can see that the atrioventricular valves close at the start of systole, and the semi-lunar valves close at the start of diastole. And we can show this diagrammatically, where the time between S1 and S2 represents systole, and the time between S2 and S1 represents diastole. In terms of the audio quality, the S1 sound is often described as a lub sound, while the S2 sounds more like a dub. Let's have a listen to how this would sound in a normal individual. Now that we understand how the normal heart sounds are generated, we can turn towards the splitting of heart sounds. And the key concept to understand here is that each valve is individual. So, in essence, we can think of the S1 sound as being composed of the tricuspid and mitral valves closing together, and both of these valves contribute to the S1 heart sound. In exactly the same way, the semi-lunar valves consist of the pulmonary and aortic valves, and these both close to form the S2 sound. If there's a delay between either the tricuspid and mitral valve closing or the aortic and pulmonary valve closing, we might get a splitting effect where we can hear two distinct sounds being heard. We can also illustrate this graphically, as shown below. In this video, we're only going to be focusing on the splitting of the S2 heart sound, so you can see that the S1 sound is normal with the tricuspid and mitral valves closing at the same time, but there's a delay between the closure of the aortic and pulmonary valve, which leads to a splitting effect. To put all of this information together, we can see that the S1 heart sound in these cases is composed of the tricuspid and mitral valves closing together, while the S2 split happens because there's a delay between the aortic and pulmonary valves closing, and this can be abbreviated as A2P2. In general, there are four main causes behind a split S2 heart sound, with three of them being pathological and one of them being physiological, and we're going to be focusing on the physiological aspect now. Physiological splitting of S2 occurs because the aortic valve normally closes slightly before the pulmonary valve, and this effect is exaggerated during inspiration. To show this on the graph, during inspiration, there's an increase in the gap between the pulmonary valve closing and the aortic valve closing. As a result of this, two distinct sounds can be heard during the S2 time frame. In contrast, during expiration, the P2 sound occurs closer to the A2 sound, and in some instances it occurs so close to the aortic valve closing that it combines to form a singular S2 sound. Let's have a listen to how physiological splitting sounds like. To explain this variance in the splitting between inspiration and expiration, we can return to original diagram here. What happens is that during inspiration, there's an increase in the venous return to the right side of the heart. So you can see that there's more blood in the right atrium compared to the left. This excess volume of blood then passes into the ventricles as well. The start of systole still occurs as before, so the ventricles contract together and the atrioventricular valves close with the semi-lunar valves opening. However, the remainder of systole is affected due to this volume difference. So because there's more blood in the right ventricle compared to the left, it takes longer for it to be ejected into the pulmonary artery, and therefore longer for the pulmonary valve to close. Let's have one more look at that, looking at the right side in particular. Because there's a higher volume, it takes longer for the blood to be ejected, and therefore longer for the valve to close. This results in two distinct sounds, the A2 and P2 sounds being formed separately. If we now compare this to expiration, in this case, there's a reduction in the venous return to the right atrium compared to the left, due to a raised interthoracic pressure. As a consequence, this reduced volume of blood also passes into the ventricles during diastole. The start of systole occurs as before, so the ventricles contract and the AV valves close, with the semi-lunar valves opening to prepare for the ejection of blood. At this point, you can see that there's a slightly lower volume of blood in the right ventricle compared to the left, and this difference in volume is enough to bypass the physiological delay, so it's quicker for the blood to be ejected and the semi-lunar valves close closer together. This results in a more singular S2 heart sound being formed during expiration. To finish off, we have a summary slide here which outlines the key points from the session. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.